let me introduce myself. My name is Indi Rahmadini and my friend.
Hi, my name is Sabila Azkia.
Hi Anggi, hi Sabila. We know there are so many fiction short stories in the world, both in Indonesia or other countries. In Indonesia, there is a Sangkuriang, Bawang Merah and Bawang Putih, Maling Kundang, and the others. And in the Disney fiction short stories, maybe there are Rapunzel, Snow White, Cinderella, and the others. And there are fables too, like Moose Deer and the Crocodile, and the Ants and the Grasshopper. So, Anggi, can you please retell the story that you choose in the 2 or 3 minutes? So I and Sabila will listen to your story.
The Grasshopper and the Ant. In a field one summer's day, a grasshopper was hopping about, creeping and singing to its heart's content. A group of ants waked by grunting as they struggled to carry plums kernels of corn. "Where are you going with husky things?" asked the grasshopper. Without stopping, the first ant replied, "To our ant hill. This is the third kernel I have delivered today. Why not come and sing with me?" sighed the grasshopper. "Instead of working so hard, we are helping to store food for the winter," sighed the ant. "And think you shall do the same? Winter is far away, and it is a glorious day to play," sighed the grasshopper. But the ant went off their way and continued their hard work. The winter sun turned cold. All the food lying in the field was covered with a thick white blanket of snow that even the grasshopper could not drag. Soon the grasshopper saw itself dying of hunger. He staggered to the ant hill and saw them handing out corn from the stores they had collected in the summer. He began for something to eat. "What?" cried the ant in surprise. "Haven't you stored anything away for the winter? What in the world were you doing all this summer?" "I didn't have time to store any food," complained the grasshopper. "I was so busy playing music that before I knew it the summer was gone." The ants shook their heads in disgust, turned their back on the grasshopper, and went on with their work.
Wow, it's a good story. I like it. So, I wanna ask to you, Anggi, what is the purpose you delivered this story to me and Sabila?
Yes, the author goals is to entertain the reader, and the moral value of the story, The Ant and Grasshopper, is that we have to prepare anything careful. We don't get carried away with our strength. We have to work hard to get success in the future.
Okay, alright, Anggi. So, I understand it now. So, but I want ask you again one question again. The question is, what kinds of the verbs mostly appear in your story that you mentioned before? Can you give examples to me?
Yes, indeed. Mostly auxiliary verb. For example, we are helping to store food for the winter.
Okay, thank you, Anggi, for your answer.
Hi, Sabila. I want to ask you what kinds of adjectives mostly appear in the story. Please give me example.
Okay, Andy, thank you so much for your question. I have analyzed what adjectives are in the story of the grasshopper and the ants. The first is demonstrative adjective. For example, to our ant hill. The second is descriptive adjective. For example, it is a glorious day to play. The third is proper adjectives. For example, in a field one summer's day. The fourth is quantitative adjectives. For example, I didn't have time to store any food. And the last one is numeral adjective. For example, this is the third kindness I have delivered today.
Thank you, Sabila. Next question for you. What kinds of adjective mostly in the story? Please give example.
In the story, there are three adverbs. The first one is adverb of time. For example, this is the third kindness I have delivered today. Underline today. The second is adverb of degree. For example, instead of working so hard, underline so hard. And the last one is interrogative adverb. For example, where are you going with those heavy things? The second, why not come and sing with me?
And the last question for you, Sabila. What kinds of tenses mostly appear in the story? Please give example.
In the story, there are several tenses that are used. The first is present continuous tense. For example, we are helping to store food for the winter. The second is present perfect tense. For example, I have delivered today. The second example is haven't you stored anything away for the winter? Next is simple past tense. For example, he staggered to the ends. Next is past continuous tense. For example, I was so busy playing music that before I knew it, the summer was gone. The second example is where are you doing all last summer? Next is past future tense. For example, you should do the same. And the last is past perfect tense. For example, they had collected in the summer. Hello Indy, I want to ask, when we compare the number of imperative sentences, question sentences, and statement sentences, which one mostly appeared and which one less? Please give the example.
Okay, thank you, Sabila, for your question. After I listened the detailed story from the Angie before, I think the most sentences that appear in that story is interrogative sentences. Why? Because there are some conversation that use interrogative sentences, like where are you going with those heavy things? Why not come and sing with me? Instead of working so hard, haven't you stirred anything away from the winter? And the last one is, what in the world were you doing all last summer? And the most last sentences that appeared in that story is imperative sentences, because there is no conversation that use imperative sentences.
Okay, Indy, thank you so much for your answer. Let's continue to the next question. What kinds of language features mostly appeared? Please give example.
Okay, Sabila, I think from the story, the most language features that use is direct speech, because there are some conversation between the ant and the grasshopper are presented in direct speech, like First example, why not come and sing with me? Said the grasshopper. And the second example of that is, we are helping to store food for the winter, said the ant. So this is the examples of the direct speech.
Well, indeed, this is the last question from me. According to you, what are the messages in the story and what things can influence the readers or audiences? Thank you.
I think the message from the story and what things can influence us is, don't forget, there is a time for work or study, and there is a time for play. So it's wise to worry about time, and it's wise to worry about tomorrow today. Thank you. Alright, that's all for our podcast today. We want to say thank you and sorry because there are still many mistakes. And thank you so much for your attention. See you in the next podcast. Bye bye. Wassalamualaikum.